Hey there and welcome to another episode of Seenu. Today we are going to continue the work that we started in the previous episode, detailing the hospital and that whole area around the bus depot. I don't know if you recall, but one of the most important things that's going to take place during this episode is the fact that we will be able to become fully sustainable, as the title of the video says. What that means is that we're finally going to be able to get rid of the backup city that's on the other island, or the backup buildings at this point, because I've been deleting the houses and other constructions a while back. Basically, if you don't remember, we had a whole bunch of service buildings that weren't detailed at all. That's why I never even show them on the other city that were sort of supporting the development of this one. But now, at the end of this episode, we're going to be working on the sewage treatment plant, which is, the last thing that we needed to work on in order for the island of Hithadhoo, which is the one you're looking at right now, to, become fully sustainable. So pretty exciting developments in the near future, and hopefully we can just start expanding to different islands in the next couple episodes. So that's really, really exciting. Talking about exciting things. Many of you already probably know this if they were paying attention to their subscriber box or whatever, but I finally released my second channel in Spanish. So those of you who speak Spanish, you should check out the link in the description. I've been working on basically, let me give you a little bit of a, context here. So the whole point with the channel in Spanish is to do like small projects, like one episode projects, maybe two. But for the most part, very small things, and they're going to be posted like maybe once a month or every 2 weeks if I have time. They're going to be very sporadic, I guess, is probably a good word to put it. But at the same time, to basically share what I'm working on my main channel as well, I posted a cinematic tour of such projects. So if you haven't seen it yet, you definitely need to go check it out, because it's one of my best projects so far. I gotta say, I'm really excited about how that one came out. It's really gorgeous. It's just a small American town with a freight train that runs through it. It's inspired by the city of LaGrange in Kentucky, and it just came out great. So you definitely need to check it out. There's also like an album in the description with a whole bunch of screenshots that you can check. It's highly recommended. And of course, if you speak Spanish, you should totally go check out my second channel and subscribe to it, especially because it's not gonna be posting videos so often. It's probably a good thing if you're subscribed to it. That way you're notified as soon as I post something there. And at the same time, if you want to collaborate with English subtitles so everyone can see them, subtitles take a long time to produce. That's why I haven't done it, or that's why I usually don't do them on either on my English videos or on my Spanish videos, I guess. But a lot of people really appreciate it, especially me. So if you do have some time to spare and you end up collaborating subtitles, please do let me know. You can message me on Twitter, Facebook, or email, because YouTube actually doesn't notify me when people add notifications. Sorry, when people add subtitles, I don't get notifications. That's what I'm trying to say. It's really weird the way notifications on YouTube are pretty broken overall. So hopefully with the new design they get sorted out. My hopes are not very high, but you never know. But in any case, yeah, I do want to if you do end up collaborating subs, I do want to give a shout out or something as a thank you, because like I said, yeah, a lot of people will really be into that. Now, talking about other things that have been happening this week is, I released another On the Road video. For those of you who don't know, On the Road is another series that I have going on my main channel. I guess now I have to say that. I have a main channel and a second channel, but don't worry. This is on the main channel. It's actually language-less, so it's just music. But the point of these videos, I started, if you watch like an older video and you weren't really into the super fast time lapses. By the way, usually these videos are about is like I mount a camera on my windshield and I just drive cool places. But lately I've been changing the format a little bit, especially because just a couple weeks ago I got a GoPro, I used to record all these videos with my iPhone. It was just not great. So with the GoPro, I have a little bit more flexibility, and lately I've been editing these videos quite a bit. So they're not just like super fast time lapses where you can't see anything. I'm actually like slowing down for like, you know, specifically interesting areas. And the point, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because these are like great sources of inspiration. I do get this question all the time, like where do you get your ideas for your projects and things like that? Well, you know, me driving around is it's one of my main, you know, sources of ideas for projects, specifically around City Skylines. So what I'm trying to do with this series is, you know, just to showcase awesome places that I've actually visited in real life, and hopefully you can, you know, get some ideas from those as well. I recently been on a trip. If you've been following me on Twitter and on Facebook, I've recently been on a trip to Arizona and Utah and Nevada. It was like a weekend thing, but I did capture a lot of footage. A lot of footage. So I'm currently editing all of that. I got like multiple hours of video. And it's going to be like multiple episodes of On the Road. I'm going to be releasing them like, I don't know, like once a week or something like that. But I really encourage you to go check it out. I'm going to include a link in the description to the playlist for the videos that I currently have. Last week I posted one where I was basically testing my new GoPro around LA, just driving randomly and getting some footage. So that video will give you an idea of sort of the format that I'm aiming for. In fact, that one I actually put together rather quickly. I'm hoping to improve it even further, but you already will be able to see sort of the aesthetic that I'm going with. There's like little graphics, for example, that tell you what street or what freeway I'm driving on, and I'm hoping to add a few more, you know, a few more details overall. So stay tuned for that. In fact, I'm actually going to be driving, I'm going to be traveling to Europe, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of driving there as well. So hopefully we can get some footage from the other side of the pond, I guess. But it's been now over 7 minutes, and I haven't said a single word of what I'm doing on this time lapse. I mean, for the most part, I think it's pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing, but let me just quickly brief you on what's going on here. So, as you know, sort of following with the aesthetic that we had before, I'm mixing these types of residential areas with random warehouses in the middle of the city. This particular warehouse was just published to the workshop. It looks great, and the guy who the author of this asset, I think he's posting a few more like rusty warehouses. So I'm hoping to basically add a ton of these if he keeps pushing them out. They're really awesome. I really like how they look, and of course, just you know, with some decals and obviously some props all around the loading areas, you can just turn, you know, an otherwise empty area, undetailed area, into something that looks pretty much like that. And I was trying to sort of keep the vegetation to a minimum, just trying to tone down the number of trees and bushes that I'm placing in between all these different houses. I'm also using a surface painter here to get rid of some of the ruin texture that sits in the middle. And obviously on this part of the time lapse, I'm just expanding on. There's like a buffer zone between the neighborhoods and the beach on this specific corner of the map, and that's going to be heavily vegetated, I guess. There's going to be a ton of foliage in there, and I think it actually looks kind of nice. Obviously, every time I clone one of these patches, it just brings down my frame rate count by small percentage, but it adds up rather quickly. I want to come back to this whole beachfront, by the way, later on, and add a few more details, so stay tuned for that. I'm also here working on what I'm thinking is some sort of like material resource gathering point. It's basically all the construction in this city. If you need some material, some cement, some coal, some iron piles, I guess, some rocks, this is where you would come to. And I'm using these warehouse by Geometry E, who's been doing some custom assets for Seenu before. He actually sent me a link to try these a couple episodes ago, and this is the first time I'm actually trying them, so they look amazing, by the way, if you're watching. So thank you for the recommendation. They totally fit this area. I'm actually going to be using it in multiple places too. I I'm definitely looking forward to more warehouse, like very generic type warehouses in the workshop, because you can just make them look any way you want, and they just fit pretty much every theme you can imagine. And there's going to be quite a bit of an industrial neighborhood being worked on in just a few minutes once we start tackling the area around the water treatment plant, which if I'm not mistaken, it's about to hit on the screen. And if I can extend this phrase long enough, maybe just for like maybe 3 more seconds, or let's see. No, okay, yeah, there we go. Wow, that was, I think I want to keep this on the video. I'm not going to delete it, even though it wasn't great. So much anticipation for this like really lame terraforming that I'm doing. Actually, so I realized that this whole area was like really big, man. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. But it's okay. We'll keep it. Just keep recording. If you're listening to this, it's going this way. I think it's gonna make things a little bit more fun. Hopefully, you can let me know in the comments. But what I'm doing here is basically creating our second harbor area. This is mostly focused, from what I can tell, for fishing, the fishing industry. So the whole point of this area is to have smaller boats just dock there. And that brings me to something that's really important that I wanted to talk about, which is something that I noticed most people don't really pay attention to, is when they are working on shorelines, they have this, like, for example, when they put seawalls, they just put like a 5-story seawall and the boat is just like at the bottom of the water. Like, that doesn't look super great. Do take some time to, lower your harbor so that it's almost at the same level of the water. It's really easy to do now with Move It and all those tools. I understand, like, when the game came out in vanilla, you have this like massive cliffs on the edge of the water, but now it's so easy to actually have it look amazing. And it gives your city much more detail, if you pay attention to the proportions of the different elements that you play with. Of course, it's not perfect, but it surely looks much nicer that way, or at least that's my opinion. And another thing that's really important, well, not really important, but one tip I want to give you is the fact that when you do use these floating props, you want the water to be very shallow. Basically, the way the water behaves and the way these like floating boats behave is, the deeper the water is, the more the waves will rock such boat or ship. So when you have like stationary, boats like this, or speedboats, or all kinds of ships near the shoreline, you want to raise the terrain from below the water so that the boats are pretty much standing still. When you look at harbors in real life, you don't see the boats like rocking like if it was in the middle of a hurricane. They just, sit there, they just rock back and forth very slowly. And you can achieve that by, making the water not be super deep. So definitely give it a shot. It will, especially if you're recording videos, it will look much nicer on your videos if you do it this way. And just make sure that you reset the water level as soon as you do that, because it's going to flood your entire city when you raise the terrain from underneath the ocean. Trust me, I destroyed Seenu so many times off camera already, it's not even funny. But on this little corner, you probably just saw me a second ago put that blue building over there, which is a bit of a restaurant that's made of container ships. This is probably one of the very few assets that I put like way back in January on my list, because I knew I wanted to build this thing. And I think there's one in real life too, in the real Addu Atoll on this corner of the map. It's like a little restaurant that's very, made from materials that you can just source easily. In this case, containers. And what I'm doing here is just putting a couple of flags. I think I ended up choosing the French flag because, well, it just matches the color of the building. But I guess they sell, it's like French cuisine now, so that's a possibility too. And also one thing that I wanted to mention is another viewer just sent me a link to his assets. He made a little Vespa, which is great for Seenu here, because we now have some variety. We don't only have the white bicycle, which it almost looks like an e-bike. But now we have, our first tiny motorcycle, which is great and adds a ton of detail to these small parking areas. I guess the main mode of transportation for these people is for the people living in this islands is motorcycles. So having one of those looks great, and hopefully he can release a few more. It's a little bit high in tries. I have to warn you about that, but it looks awesome. It looks awesome. The LOD is not so bad. So when you zoom out, it won't destroy your computer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right, so as you can see, we're moving forward with the water treatment plant. And I didn't want to do like a massive treatment plant. I mean, obviously I wanted to make it big enough that hopefully this is the only one that we'll have to build in the entire project. But we obviously will have to add some water pumps. In fact, I think at the end of this time lapse, I'm going to be putting down some water pumps here. But I wanted to sort of create a facility that, it's not huge, but, so it's somewhat realistic in terms of scale to the surrounding population. But hopefully it's big enough that it can sustain, the needs of all the houses that we're going to be building, the ones that we already have and the ones that are going to be, created in the future. I really like these, what are they called? The sediment tanks or something like that. The only issue that I found with this is that as you can see, they come with these weird like lamps in them, and unfortunately Prop It Up doesn't allow you to get rid of those. Prop It Up only gets rid of fences and things, which I've done for the main treatment plants, by the way. And I also struggle a lot with Move It. Every time you move one of these sediment things, or basically any like water-based building, the node doesn't, you have to like basically select the building and the node, otherwise you end up with weird nodes like that. I was trying to get rid of. It seems to be working even after you move it, but I wasn't so sure that I was gonna sustain, or be sustainable long term in terms of like game crashes or something. So I decided to just get rid of the buildings and put them again. And obviously it didn't put them exactly where they used to be, so I had to do some rearranging of the elements. But overall, I was trying to sort of keep this, this construction very simple, very minimal. As soon as I'm done with these pipes, you're going to see me start with the decals, which is what makes this whole area come to life much more gracefully. And there we go, we're finally getting rid of the backup city. This is the first time I'm actually showing that. Oh man, that was such an ugly area. But it's gone, Hithadhoo, which is this island, is now self-sustainable, like I said at the beginning of this video. So yeah, decals, I try to not I think I talked about this before, but I try not to go super crazy with decals because it's really easy to make things look like super destroyed and dirty and, but that is usually not the case. So, in this case, for example, I'm using these like cracks and fixes to just like ruin, very small segments of this whole, concrete slab. Together with tufts, those little tiny grasses that grow between the cracks just makes it look amazing without doing a whole lot of, crazy detailing everywhere. And I'm obviously using some of the Ronix decals here to sort of get these concrete expansion joints, and I'm also mixing them up with Beer Monkey's just plain concrete joints decals. They're just like lines, and if you use them right, they're super flexible. You can just achieve whatever type design you want. In this case, as you can see, I was trying to keep things very minimal, very simple, like I said. Overall, I try to do that unless, it's an area where I know it's going to be like, a lot of traffic and a lot of, trucks moving dirt, things like that. I think in those cases, it does make sense to have a little bit more grungy decals overall. But yeah, that's just my opinion in general. And over here, we're starting the construction of the industrial park, which obviously I won't have time to detail in this episode. We will detail some of it, by the way. It's not going to be all left for the next episode, but the biggest part of it and the whole detail of the shoreline over there will definitely take place in future episodes. So stay tuned for that, I guess. Over in this corner, I was just trying to wrap up all these like little gaps that we have. Basically, this whole area around the water treatment plant does have some warehouses in real life, and I was trying to sort of add them and just use clusters of bushes and trees to sort of separate the these different areas. In this particular case, you just see me struggle with all kinds of wall designs that I wasn't quite sure fit the area. The big concrete walls that I used a second ago look great, but they're not props, they're actual buildings, and they want to be connected to roads. And even though there's a natural road right next to it, that doesn't count as a road, unfortunately. It only wants to be connected to the types of roads that have tiles attached to it. I guess the national road we consider a highway road, but I know there's a mod out there that I think it's actually a new mod that gets rid of the need for road connection. I have to try that one out, but at the same time, I kind of pay attention to the no road connection simply because if you ignore it, the cars and people will still try to go to the building, and they will just cut through like the middle of another building maybe, which may not look super realistic. So, by getting that notification of, hey, I don't have a road connection, you can actually play with it and make, in certain cases, you can make it so that people actually respect or take a more reasonable path into the buildings. But as we approach the end of the sound maps, I do want to point out that I did a bit of a remix of the outro music. I extended the length. In fact, if you want to check it out in detail, I posted it on Twitter and on Facebook. I'm going to include the link in the description. But what that means is that there's going to be now slightly longer cinematics. So I'm going to let you enjoy those, and I'll see you in just a second. And with that, it's time to put an end to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving this video a like. That's very much appreciated. And also, if you're new to the channel, I want to encourage you to go click the subscribe button. That way you're notified immediately after one of my videos comes out. In the description, you're going to find everything from the link to the full playlist in case you might have missed an episode to all my social media accounts. But that's it. That's all that I have to say for now. I want to thank you all for watching and hope to see you in the next one.